is now in session for the ultimate Disney showdown. The case before us, Disney World versus Disneyland. Which is truly the superior park? Today we have the prosecution, Max, representing Disneyland, and the defense, Sage, representing Disney World, with a very impartial jury of one, Emma, whose vote will decide the verdict. It's going to be a spicy episode today, folks. Max and Sage, I understand you've prepared opening statements. I did not tell them to prepare opening statements. Sage, can you go ahead and lay us down an opening statement for Disney World's case, please?
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I'm kidding. Do it. I'm not going to do it. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I am here to tell you that there is a city in Central Florida that is currently being attacked, which is why apparently I'm on the defense here. We have been told time and time again that Disneyland is better. That Disneyland is better just because it was the first, because it was tied to history. And while that might be true, Disney World continues to grow and reach new heights. It is not just a theme park. It is now an entire city full of fire departments and other things cities also have. There are 4 theme parks, 2 water parks, a gabajillion resorts, which is an actual number, and I would like to put that in as Exhibit A gabajillion resorts.
You may be seated, counselor. I don't know anything about court terms. All right, prosecution, Max, to the stand. I don't think they go to the stand. Your opening statement.
Disneyland is better, and if my counterpart's argument is that Disney World is better because it's bigger, because that's basically what he said, well, then this should be easy for me. Disneyland, as you said, is the original, and it does have the nostalgia and the charm. And while not as big, all of our rides are better at Disneyland than Disney World. It is Walt's original. Walt was there. Walt set foot there. He built that place. It's more convenient. We have better weather. I could keep going, but I think we'll get into it as we go along here. So I will just stop right there for now.
All right. Some rousing opening statements from our counselors here on the floor at the bench. I'm at the bench. I should have got a gavel for this. Our first case 1 in this trial is going to be the castles is actually where we're going to start. So we of course have Cinderella Castle in Magic Kingdom and Sleeping Beauty Castle. Okay, very different vibes here. Look to address something in Max's opening statement. Sage, counsel, is size everything, or is the charm what counts in this category?
Well, to answer your question in the only way I know how to, yes.
Heard. Okay, so bigger's better.
I'm sorry. I'll go on here. I will say, having been both to Disney World and Disneyland, while Disneyland's the castle may have been the original, and it has some really cool aspects that I'm sure my counterpart is going to talk about here. I will say there is something so extraordinary about walking down Main Street and seeing this a little under 200-foot castle.
Just under 200 foot.
Just under. A really cool stage in front of it as well. So you've got a nice live entertainment aspect of it. Inside of the castle is also a restaurant. And for a very, very select few, there's actually a suite all the way at the top of Cinderella's castle that you can actually stay in if you are so lucky. But that you got to be really lucky to do that. I was walking down Disneyland's Main Street, and I just got to say I was a little underwhelmed. While there's some cool aspects, just the sheer size of it really brings the whole Disney magic together.
Max, I think if it's your turn to defend Disneyland's tiny house castle.
Yeah, it might only be 77 feet tall, but It's a really charming, special place that Walt actually, designed after the Neuschwanstein Castle in Germany, and so it's again directly from him. And again, the argument here from Sage is that it's just because it's bigger, that I don't think that really matters because to me, it just feels corporate and lifeless. And
whoa,
I object.
And,
I object.
And that's what I think. I think that it's beautiful when you walk down Main Street in the Magic Kingdom and you see the giant castle. There's no denying that. And it's Disneyland's castle is a tiny little thing. But you have to remember what they were working with at the time when they made Disneyland. They didn't have the money. They didn't have the space that Florida does. So, because it is in Walt's vision and it is this little perfect little intimate, charming, cozy thing. That's why Disneyland's castle's better.
I would like to submit to the jury for evidence, just as an added caveat. I'm not sure that's something a judge does, but it's what I'm going to do at this time. I'd like to submit that the Disney World Castle is getting a color change update coming soon, where it is getting repainted closer to its original color scheme. Just not to lodge any opinions, but just because I think it's important news, and I figured this was a good time to share it, as this is the AllEars.net YouTube channel. Jury, if you could go ahead and give us your ruling on the castles on case 1.
This one's really difficult because I'm torn. There's so many incredible aspects, and one of Sage's biggest notes was something that almost no one can do or ever see with their own eyes, which does impact me as far as this decision goes. So I think I'm going to go Disneyland as the winner of this one. I know, only because Sage he talked about it a lot, the Cinderella Castle Suite, and that's incredible. But if you can never experience it or go near it or anything, like how good is it?
To move on to case 2, this is one that's already been mentioned in our opening arguments. And I think perhaps for most people, the largest judgment of a Disney resort, and that is the rides. So we've got the Disneyland Originals versus the sheer number of Walt Disney World rides happening. That's kind of the main arguments here. I'm going to start this time with Max. This is another case where it is kind of a size question. In this case, does quality beat quantity? And Sage, I'll ask for you to respond immediately after Max's statement.
Disneyland's rides are in every way so much better. I mean, if you go on like the biggest one, obviously, I'm going to bring up is Pirates. When I go on Pirates at the Magic Kingdom in Walt Disney World, I'm like, wait, where's the rest of it? What Disneyland, you get a full immersive, like beautiful 15-minute experience, and at the Magic Kingdom again, it's all just sort of like they got to get in the masses, so the rides just got to be shorter, and the story is not as in depth. Now, you said it is quantity better than quality. So Disneyland has a bazillion more attractions than the Magic Kingdom in Disney World, and it's so much smaller. But they're all better. So we have more attractions at Disneyland, and they're better. We still even have Mr. Toad. I mean, where's your Mr. Toad?
Compelling argument.
Where's your Mr. Toad? I mean,
he's dead. That's a murder case we'll be
sorry.
going into later on the channel.
Our Small World is a beautiful, giant building that gets its own decorations, depending on the season even. I mean, I could go ride by ride, but I feel like that would take a long time. So those are just 2 examples of why our rides, our attractions are better.
Sage, your response.
In the past 2 or 3 minutes, we really mostly just heard we're better, but we never really quite heard why we're better. We never went down to the fundamental why. So let's talk about the lines of each ride, right? The queues. Almost every single queue getting up to this line in Disneyland is commonly a switchback. What is a switchback? It's basically some ropes that go back and forth, and you're going to smell the the people and feel the hot breath of every single person you pass by time and time again. And in Disney World, we have the space, we have the real estate to really immerse, your word, not mine, to immerse ourselves into these stories. Often the ride doesn't start when you get into the vehicle. Often the ride starts when you enter the queue. That's when the storytelling begins. So, and on top of all of that, Disneyland might have more rides than the Magic Kingdom itself, but we're comparing four different parks to two parks, right? Because there are so many things you can do throughout the day. You are not beholden to one or two or three really exciting rides that you can find at the Magic Kingdom. No, you're able to hop on over to Epcot. Oh, there's a low wait here. Absolutely. I'd love to experience this. Science will tell you the longer you wait for something, the higher your expectations are. That is true. Your endorphins as you are on a ride, this is great. When you're waiting in a long line, your endorphins start to go down, and then once you're on the ride, it goes back up. It's a harder climb back up. So the more rides you're riding, the more quantity there is. That is why the rides at Magic Kingdom, based on the queue, the storytelling, and the quantity, at Disney World, the rides are better.
These are compelling arguments, both of them. So we're gonna have to step outside the bounds of the court here a little bit, I think, to help our jury out. She's a hung jury, are you not?
I'm at a loss.
Yeah.
I literally thought I knew where I was gonna vote. Then I went back. Then I went back again. Now I'm back to the front. I'm open to all interpretation.
So we're gonna go a little out of the step out of the courtroom with me. Step out of the proverbial courtroom. Close your eyes. Imagine we're not in a courtroom. I know it's hard. Because we are in one. I would like to appeal to now Max and Sage, not the defendants of Disneyland and Disney World. I would like to know your personal answers to one or two questions. Max, as a Disneyland local, for those that don't know, who makes incredible Disneyland content, if you're looking for some Disneyland content. Sage, Disney World local. If you could rip one ride out of your opponent's park and put it in yours, what would you like to bring, and what would you swap out?
I'd like the People Mover back, please.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the one. That's the one. Oh gosh, what would I take out? I say Autopia.
Okay.
It's just outdated and takes up so much space.
All right, so I thought about this a lot. I was like, oh, Radiator Springs Racers, a really incredible ride. One of my favorites over there, but we're hopefully going to get a pretty cool Cars ride coming soon to the Magic Kingdom as well. I'm going to bring over three things. No, hear me out. We're going small, big. First thing I'm bringing over is I want to add the dinosaur section to the Walt Disney World Railroad. I think the fact that they have the diorama to the Walt Disney World Railroad, I think, is super fun. It's in the dark. I loved it the first time I saw it. I was like, this is very fun and cool. And I wish Disney World had more of that. And then the other thing, this other small thing I want to bring over is I want to bring over the queue for Mickey Minnie's Runaway Railway. I want that queue.
Oh,
that is a far superior queue. It's filled with nostalgia and like how they've mixed in cartoons with like contemporary. Love it. Now, the attraction that I'm bringing over will be Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. I rode it 4 times. I rode it 4 times with my at the time 1.5-year-old daughter, and it's the one thing she wanted to do 4 times. Which I'm like, great, me too.
That also happened to me when I was there with Emma.
The one thing we are losing is Navi River Journey.
Okay.
I feel pretty confident about that. I feel like we're not losing a lot. We still get a lot of the Pandora-ness of it all, but I think that's a safe bet. Now, don't get me wrong, River Journey is a beautiful boat ride through the Valley of Moara. You know, it's fantastic. But as we've said before on the channel, there's just not a lot that happens, and I think we can use that for maybe more real estate, like a Toad who dies and goes to HE double hockey sticks. You know,
The
good stuff.
idea of Navi being replaced with Mr. Toad's Wild Ride in Animal Kingdom in Pandora is I'm for it.
I think you're forgetting the terms. Both animals. They are all
Both
animals.
They're animals for sure. My final question here. All four of us are going to answer this one just because I think that it's a very hot button topic. I'm curious as well about the rest of our jury who's watching this right now on this one. Which ghost actually has the better version of Haunted Mansion? My answer, I'll go ahead straight out with it. Even considering Haunted Mansion Holiday, my answer is Disney World's. Sage.
I think the only reason I'm going to also go with Disney World is because I think it's less about the interior and it's more about the exterior. And I like the exterior of
It's pretty cool.
Disney World feels more like a haunted mansion. And it's got those, the forced perspective of like, you can see the essentially like the swirling dark cloud above it where, tying in the New Orleans square to the mansion, it was just a little disconnected.
Max? It's kind of a toughie.
Yeah. It's because we get the holiday makeover here too, and that's tricky.
Love the
but
holiday
I guess,
makeover.
Yeah, but so if you're just going by the normal one, I would say I could give it to Disney World on that. Actually, I do really like the Haunted Mansion at the Magic Kingdom. I do. Yeah.
It's longer.
I will admit that one.
It's longer for reference if you haven't been on it. The one in Disney World is longer, has a couple more scenes. So that is helpful. It's like the Pirates argument for Disneyland.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Emma, what's your vote?
Maybe this is a bad take, but I'm going to vote Disneyland's because I'm swayed by a limited time Haunted Mansion Holiday. I love it. I think it's so much more impressive than I anticipated. The first time I wrote it, I had not seen any of it. I had no idea what it was like. I like that you can kind of do something new every once in a while. So I'll be the one outlier and vote for Disneyland's.
All right. We'll have to go to the comments on that one. Let us know.
They're going to fight me and I get it.
Haunted
and it's
Mansion
okay.
Disneyland or Haunted Mansion Disney World. And yes, Haunted Mansion Holidays in the conversation. Well, that brings us to the end of our ride section. So with those arguments in mind, some of our little outside of argument research that we did of polling the court crew. Jury, what's your mini ruling in this case?
This one's really difficult because, again, their arguments were great on both sides. I am going to go Disney World. Disney World has so much variety. There's so many incredible rides. I don't know. If I had to book a ticket right now, I think I'd prefer Disney World. Wow. So Sage made some good arguments. Crazy takes.
We're point for point at this point, which is how they do it in court. It's a point system. You get points. All right, our case 3. This one I think is going to be a pretty intense one because it is the food, and I'm seeing reactions already. So we've got Disneyland food. Now, my caveat here is we're not just talking about churro v churro, right? We all know the answer to churro v churro. We're also talking about options. We're talking about ceilings and floors. We're talking about the whole world of food at these parks and resorts across the entirety of the resorts. So keep that in mind. As we go to our cross-examination, Sage, we'll start with you this time. I think many people would say that the food at Disney World is overrated. I think many people would say the same of Disneyland. So this is kind of an interesting question. I want to know, which resort do you think has the more overrated food? Not necessarily better, not necessarily worse, but I'm wondering which is more overrated.
So if I'm not being a lawyer and I'm just being Sage, I'm going to have to tell you that I do think Disney World has the most overrated food. Like, let's just talk about the price point alone, right? Some of these food options that can just feel and taste subpar are often really expensive just because of, I don't know, the theming around you, or the fact that they have said that, hey, this is a fine dining experience. So just because they've now labeled it a fine dining experience, it can now be super expensive, and the food it can still be a little subpar. There can be exceptions to that rule because there are some really great dining places at Disney World.
Max, what's your take?
Sage was a very long-winded way to say that Disney World's food is way more overrated. Yeah. So much of it is just slop. So,
you're not wrong.
I mean,
Whoa.
like,
Name names.
so much of what you can eat at the Magic Kingdom is literally just like the most garbage, just gross, bland American food. It is like, it's just the worst of the worst. I like, and they try to make it sound like it's good. So yeah, it's overrated. I don't have to say much more because we're gonna be talking more about this, I think. So
Yeah. Emma, what's your vote? Also Disney World?
Mine is also Disney World. This is one that your Sage preface, when you're back to being a lawyer, you're really going to have to fight. Because I have had bad Disney World experiences, but I have not necessarily had bad Disneyland experiences. And I feel like I've eaten a pretty good amount of food in Disneyland. So I'm going to vote Disney World most overrated.
I don't necessarily think this personally, but I'm going to play a little devil's advocate here because I do actually kind of consider them equal on the overrated front. And that is because Disneyland is rated much higher. People talk about Disneyland's food much better, which is how it is, I would say, equally overrated. Like, it's like Disney World's food is worse. Yes. But people don't say that it's better. They say Disneyland food is this good, Disney World food is this good, and they're both probably realistically right here. I have eaten Magic Kingdom slop more times than I care to admit. And I have eaten the salmon from Columbia Harbor House so many times because all Magic Kingdom has is slop. So it's just me and that grilled salmon with a maple mustard glaze, which is fine. But I'm getting in the weeds. My argument for why Disneyland's food is a little more overrated is the first time I went to Disneyland, I was mad. I was like, this is what you guys get to eat when you go up to a cart? Compared to Disney World, like it was as good as I had heard. I did not feel it was overrated. The more times I've gone to Disneyland, the more that I've noticed that it does have the same consistency issues that Disney World does. I also really struggle in Disneyland to, from an options perspective, find one of our favorite types of dining, which is the more casual, walk up, sit down, grab a drink and some small plates to share, which is abundant in Disney World. I also I'm a nice restaurant gal, which a lot of people are not, especially when you're going to a theme park. And I totally understand that if that's the case, Disneyland's going to win for you every single time. But I don't know, just an interesting conversation because I actually think they both have their ways of being overrated. The defense I now need, Sage, good luck and Godspeed. I need you to defend Disney World's food against Disneyland's. Really, the question I want answered here by y'all's defenses is, would you rather eat for a week in Disneyland or eat for a week in Disney World?
The question was just asked, would I rather eat for a full week in Disney World or in Disneyland? Now, while Disneyland does have some incredible offerings, we all know, we've said it before, churro versus churro, Disneyland will always win. However, can you sustain an entire week on a churro? The answer is no. But you know what you can sustain on? Our options, our variety, our different kinds of cuisine, our exercise, because it is still theme park food and you are still walking from time to time, you know, and hey, listen, we're looking at all aspects of this conversation, right? Casual, there's the a la carte, like Sunshine Seasons, where that's at Epcot, where there's plenty of variety for all to enjoy. You could probably eat 2 days just at Sunshine Seasons, getting different variety options. I can tell you what, at Disney World, I've never had a problem finding a cocktail. At Disneyland and California Adventure, it is near impossible. You really have to dig deep and search. My big argument here is variety. They've got everything from Chinese cuisine to Brazilian to American cuisine. Heck, go to the World Showcase and you could eat there for a week. So variety is my biggest argument here.
All right. Max, your rebuttal.
Okay.
On the floor.
So, I mean, the question was asked, where would I rather eat for a week, you know? And it's clearly Disneyland. A lot was made about like how the variety with Disney World, but like we're smaller and I think we have more variety. You mentioned all these different types of cuisines. I mean, we have them all in our one little tiny Disneyland. I mean, we do. And the food at every quick service restaurant in Disneyland is so much better than the quick service in Disney World. It's not even close. Plus, they're constantly it depends what week you're going, because who knows, you might find some really great seasonal stuff because they're constantly updating our menus based on the seasons, because we have actual talented, brilliant chefs, even in the quick service places. Like, you'd think that the quick service places, they're just like throwing the food out and getting it no, but even there, I mean, they are really talented people. I'm not saying that they're not in Disney World, but they're not afforded the same opportunities that our Disneyland chefs get, I think. Which is because here in Disneyland, we are more of a locals park. They're catering to the Southern California palate. Disney World's got amazing sit-down restaurants with unbelievable food and drink. But for a week, if you're spending your money you can't be spending all that money on sit-down all the time, right? And I think that's where Disneyland really, really wins it, on our quick service restaurants, because for $15, you can get a really delicious, fulfilling, even perhaps sometimes healthy meal, just because our options are so varied. And I think we have way more unique food at Disneyland than Disney World does, even though it's much smaller.
All right, it's time for our jury's verdict. I think I know which direction it's going to go, but I will not lead the jury, a term that is used in court. Emma?
The jury feels sick to her stomach. That's a term they use in court, I'm pretty sure. The great arguments were made. Because Sage, I got to be honest, I almost knew I wasn't going to vote for you. Like, you didn't even talk yet, and I thought, well, I'm biased. But then you made a lot of great arguments. World Showcase alone, I was like, you could eat there for a week. Unfortunately, Max did bring it back around, because he did bring up that they have all of the same cuisine, and I don't necessarily want to pay for a table service every single time, so I'm going to give this one to Disneyland. But I really commend you, Sage.
Can we get a mop on the court floor?
Yeah.
Bailiff, a mop.
Bailiff, a mop. All right, well, our next two cases we're going to move a little quicker with, because they are, I think, have a little bit easier of an answer. And one is with the vibe. So the vibe here, we've got Disneyland, walk those streets, but we've got Disney World with immersion levels across 4 parks. So this time, let's kick it off with Max.
Right. Disneyland by a mile on the vibes. Oh, it's just so much more charming and homey. And, when you walk into like the Magic Kingdom, it is this big corporate monstrosity. I think there's no vibe there. It just feels, when you walk in Disneyland, you could feel the magic the moment you walk in. You're just encapsulated in it. His eyes
are closed. He's there.
Yeah, that's it.
He's there now.
And you're talking about like entertainment. Like, our characters are just roaming. They're just, you want to meet some character. They're just there. There's Belle. She's just walking by. Yeah, I think the vibes are just way better at Disneyland, because I think the intimacy of the park really lends itself to it. But Disney World, and this is a size thing here, like Disney World's size doesn't lend itself to the vibes being really good. Because Disneyland, I can just calmly stroll along. Magic Kingdom, Epcot, they're all efforts to get anywhere, and so it kills the vibe in a way, because it's so much of an effort to do anything in Disney World. Disneyland, I can have a nice leisurely, relaxing time just strolling along in this land that Walt created.
Excellent closing argument.
And defense. Were you the defense and the defense?
I agree.
Strong.
That's
Okay, argument. Disneyland, in my counterpart's argument, is, in his words, in fact, charming. It is charming, it is quaint, it is historic. But you are paying top dollar to go to something larger than yourself, bigger than yourself, and be immersed into not just a charming, quaint town, but your childhood. You are going to Disney World to go to every single part of your brain that has childhood and connect with each vibe there. There's not just one vibe of Disney World. You are relaxing in the vibe of the outdoor area of Flame Tree Barbecue with their beautiful waters, the tranquil area. You are vibing in a completely different vibe in Galaxy's Edge, where you might hear the Cantina band off in the distance, and you can sit while eating that Ronto wrap. That in itself is a different vibe. You can sit in the vibe of Italy. That itself is a different vibe. Or the list goes on. So while Disneyland might have a historic vibe, you are going to Disney World to not hit one vibe, but the spectrum of vibes that are going to meet you in where you are in the moment. What vibe is meeting you at the moment? Disney World will meet you there.
I have chills. I feel very spoken to, I will say. Incredible arguments, of course. And mainly because I want to see you guys duke it out in the last round, I'm going to give this one to Disney World.
Wow.
It seems like a cop-out, but okay.
Well, I mean, it makes the final case more dramatic for sure. Because so this is the one for all the marbles, which is a really interesting category. I think everybody cares about more than they would say at face value, and that is logistics. So we have Disney World versus Disneyland. We're talking about the logistics of existing in these places. Okay.
Oh, man.
We're talking about the park hopping. We're talking about the hotels and getting around between the hotels. We're talking about the need to leave the bubble, what it's like to be in the bubble, what it's like to get an Uber, getting around the parks, everything about planning and experiencing a vacation here. The boring parts that nobody wants to talk about, but that actually have the most profound possible effect on general sentiment from your crew in the parks when they're getting tired. And I think I had Sage start 3 times, so Max, we'll go to you again here for the start.
Yeah, logistically, Disneyland is just so much easier to do. Literally anything. Everything. Everything is easier at Disneyland in every single way.
Just text above his head.
I think about when I'm at Disney World and I just have to get from one place to another, the amount of time that eats in my day. If I want to park hop at Disneyland, I just walk across and I'm there in a couple minutes. It is just so much easier to navigate your day. Any Disney vacation is going to have a lot of stress, but Disneyland's so much less stress because it is just easier to manage. There's so little that you actually have to think about in terms of getting to and from places. So that logistically right there is the easiest way to put it. Like, I can just walk to everywhere I need to go in Disneyland. And if the question is logistics, that is the argument. I can literally just walk. I don't have to get on any form of transportation to get anywhere. So automatically right there, Disneyland wins.
Max, I understand you want to call a witness named Quincy to the stand.
Yes, I call
Yes.
Quincy to the stand. Yeah.
Hi, that's me. I'm not the judge. I'm somebody else. When I first moved to Disney World, got stranded at I think it was Polynesian after the monorail had closed for the night. It was in COVID-y times. There were earlier hours. And I was like, well, I need to get over to Contemporary or Grand Floridian where my car was. We were doing a monorail crawl. So I was like, I'll go over there. And I can just walk. It's right around the corner, technically in the streets. There's no sidewalks. It's literally, you cannot physically walk in Disney World. It is not safe to do so, to get from place to place. That's my statement.
Question for Quincy, for the witness.
Yes, I think that's what happens in court. Jury.
Did they not add a sidewalk to that particular thing that you're discussing?
Not the stretch that I needed to walk. I think it was to Contemporary,
Okay.
and it's not possible, which it should be, because it's not that far. There are more sidewalks. It's a good clarification, but it is also like 2 miles.
Very true as well.
That's also, but anyway, that's your witnesses. That's witness dismissed.
Okay.
I'd like to cross-examine the witness, please.
Oh no, there's a cross-examination.
Have you ever stayed off property at Disneyland?
Oh, constantly.
Mm-hmm. And tell me how easy it is to get from off property, other than and cost included, because cost is a part of logistics. How easy is it to get from off property to on property?
Well, it depends, because there's many. Emma's nodding because
I wasn't gonna say it.
I put us in a really horrible choice hotel because I'd always heard, for our first ever trip to Disneyland, I had never been. I had always heard that you could stay right across the street and walk. And so I went on Google Maps and I picked a hotel right across the street. It's just the catch is I didn't pick across Harbor Street. I picked across the highway. So It was more like, a mile and a half over a highway bridge with our suitcases at 1 a.m. And I've never been allowed to live that down. I would like to submit that to the record.
I was not gonna say a word submitting that to the record.
You don't get to submit things to the record.
Yeah.
No further questions. I'm ready for my argument.
Witness dismissed.
Thank you. All right, counselor for the defense, you have the floor.
Disneyland is a wonderful place. It is the happiest place on earth. It is accessible. It is great for locals, great for travel, but only if you're staying on property. Logistically, looking at Disney World, while you are there are so many different kinds and types of resort that, again, logistically, that being the argument, is going to meet you where you're at. Financial plays a big part in logistics, right? So let's say monetarily, you only have a small amount of dollars to put towards your resort this time. Well, guess what? There are some value resorts that might not be your favorite, but logistically, they're going to get you where you need to go. Now, at each of these resorts, there are free transportation that logistically takes the Uber and the Lyft out of it if needed, because you're only dealing with this amount of money. So logistically, that being the argument we're talking about, that will get you from point A to point B to where you're needed. Now, when I've been to Disneyland in the past, when I have stayed on property, it has been incredibly easy. I have really enjoyed my time. But from a financial standpoint, I only have now 3 options, and both are moderately pricey, I would say, at least for what I'm rolling with right now. And Disney World still has those other options for you. When I stayed off property at Disneyland, so one of the surrounding hotels, it was a good 20 minute walk, or I had to Uber, which again took away from my funds that I could have bought a Spirit jersey logistically. So all in all, logistically, You are also dealing with a lot of different people. You're dealing with the grandmothers, the fathers, the mothers, the children, and they're all going to want different things. That alone requires different logistics, different kinds of planning. So because there's such, again, we're talking about variety. There's another big argument here. There's variety. They're going to meet you where you're at. That's an immersive tool, by the way. Say it with me. How immersive. That is an
How
immersive tool that we're dealing with. It's meeting, Disney World is now meeting you where you're at, both from a ride aspect, from a food aspect, and now logistically.
Well, jury of one, what's your take on logistics?
Can the jury have help from the judge? Because I think excellent arguments were made.
I object.
And I know my vote. Well, Sage, maybe you want
to know something? I have an even better idea. We can leave the final category and the overall decision to the jury as a whole, which is you all watching
grand
this.
jury.
The grand jury of our peers.
Then I'm literally going to lose sleep over this because I won't know what the answer is.
You won't know.
I can still make a judgment.
Make your logistics judgment because that will help inform them.
Okay, my final judgment, even though I do think it is easier logistically to plan a Disneyland trip, I think Disney World does have a lot to offer from a various viewpoint of getting around financially. I think that Sage made some great arguments, but I don't know. That's why I think I'm calling in the rest of the grand jury. If I had to answer right now, though, I feel like Disney World.
Okay. It's up in the air here. We've gone through 5 cases, some incredible arguments from our 2 counselors on the floor here today. So Max and Sage, I will ask you each for a 1-sentence closing argument that encapsulates your whole argument as a whole of Disneyland versus Disney World. If you need to think for a second, that is totally fine. And then we will leave it to the comments to give our final verdict.
The true magic is at Disneyland.
Wow. Poignant. Sage?
Disney World has always been an ever-growing, customizable experience just for you.
Compelling arguments on either side of the courtroom today. With that, it's up to the internet. So that's you. Let us know in the comments, world or land. Drop your verdict, and we'll see who really wins this debate. Court's adjourned. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you, Max, for joining us. This is Mr. Cheesy Pop. You can find him on socials. It was very helpful, especially because I gave you no warning. I said, we're doing a little episode on Disneyland versus Disney World. Just be yourself. Yeah. And then I was like, you're a judge. It's court.
He wasn't the judge.
I wasn't.
Oh, I'm the judge.
You're the judge.
It was great. It was, this was awesome. It was really easy to do because Disneyland is better, so I didn't have to think too hard.
I ran out of water. I can't do another spit take.
Oh, man. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.